would keep me waiting, I would wait a lifetime. In tricky situations, I will be a lifeline. Nobody's meant to be fighting alone. That's why I'm taking you home. I never felt something like this before, I know. Keep coming back for your time after time. Maybe I'm losing my mind, but I know I'll never leave you behind, no. Baby, I got you. When you feel like falling, I'll be there to prove, yeah, that baby, I got you. No matter the distance, no matter the route, yeah, baby, I got you. When you feel like falling, I'll be there to prove, yeah, that baby, I got you. No matter the distance, no matter the route, yeah, baby, I got you. I got you. I got you. I got you. Baby, I got you. I got you. I got you. I got you. Ocean in between us, still I feel your heartbeat. There's something about you, baby, that makes me feel complete. Nobody's meant to be fighting alone. That's why I'm taking you home. I never felt something like this before, I know. Coming back for your time after time. Maybe I'm losing my mind, but I know I'll never leave you behind, no. Baby, I got you. When you feel like falling, I'll be there to prove, yeah, that baby, I got you. No matter the distance, no matter the route, yeah, baby, I got you. When you feel like falling, I'll be there to prove, yeah, that baby, I got you. No matter the distance, no matter the route, yeah, baby, I got you. I got you. I got you. I got you. Baby, I got you. I got you. I got you. And the world is going wild when they call for you. And the river's running dry when it all falls through. Don't you worry about a thing, baby, I got you. Yeah, baby, I got you.
Hello, my royal diamonds. Thank you so much for tuning into the Duchess of Success podcast. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't, and comment on the video to help the algorithm find us. It is my pleasure to bring you all of the royal tea, honey. And if you would like to donate to the channel, please check out the links in the description box. All of your donations help to keep the channel running. Thank you for your support, and remember, you don't need a crown to be royal. We are all queens. Hello everyone, happy Wednesday, hope you're all doing well. Yeah, so I took a little bit of a break, but I am back and there is a lot to talk about. It's so weird, sometimes in this space it can be very like not a lot going on, and then all of a sudden a whole bunch of stuff will happen. And if I go like one day, um then all that stuff kind of piles up. And this has been like one of those weeks. So thank you for being patient and thank you for joining me. Hit that thumbs up button and let's get to it. Let's see who's in the chat now. Hi Lane. Hey Hidley. Hey Adrienne. Chris Walker, I feel like I haven't seen you in a while. Hi, Lavender. Hi, Mrs. S. Mrs. S, do I have a Twitter account to buy Anna coffee? You don't need to have a Twitter account, hun. You don't need to have a Twitter account. Um, okay, let's get to it. What should we start with? Piers Morgan's about to get his karma, hopefully. I actually want to start with some positive things because it's been so crazy. I feel like sometimes we forget that there are also a lot of good things happening that have happened, like this. And this is probably only half of it. The half of all of the amazing things that we have going on with the Sussexes. And I think it's just good to take a moment to remind ourselves of that in the middle of all of this craziness, that Harry and Meghan are free, they're doing their own thing, and, you know, regardless of what that institution is doing, it's okay for Harry and Meghan. They just carry on, doing their own thing. So it's annoying, but we've still got a lot of good things to look forward to, and a lot of incredible projects coming up for this couple. And look at all of the amazing things that they have done. Sometimes it's so easy to forget. I mean, the bench still selling, Spare, only in its second year publication, will continue to sell, will continue to be popular, especially as more drama with the royals happens. I think people who maybe haven't gotten themselves a copy of Spare will want to. Everything with Netflix coming up, Invictus Games coming up, all of the charitable partnerships. So let's take a moment to breathe and remind ourselves of all of this. Because this is what, in the end, that institution is going to play all the games it wants to play, but we still have all of this to be happy about. And I can't remember who said it. I think it was either Rahini or Lightside. Somebody said, you know, Harry was the Raven. Harry was the Raven in the tower. There's that superstition that, if all 7 ravens in the tower leave, then London and the monarchy will fall. But I think all this time it's Harry that's been the Raven. And he's always had it in him to be an incredible man on his own. He just needed someone to stand by his side and give him that confidence, but also a woman who herself was her own person and her own star. And the two of them together are just really just unstoppable. And Meghan's influence continues to show itself. This is from Duchess of Sussex Instagram. Rebecca, please go and follow her. She now has more followers on her gram than, I think, the Sun newspaper. So one of the brands that Meghan wore, Kimai, this is a brand that got investment from Stephen Bartlett on BBC's Dragon's Den, which for our American friends, I think that's like the UK version of Shark Tank. So they had gotten an investment from him off of this TV show. Stephen Bartlett, by the way, runs Diary of a CEO, which is the UK's most listened to podcast. He's also been seen hanging around with Prince William. They were doing some the homeless project together. But anyway, he invested in this brand, and Meghan wore the brand quite recently, and they said that the founders revealed that they reached out to Meghan through cold emails, a strategy that also landed them investment from others. The fine jewelry brand and lab-grown diamond pioneer secured a £250,000 investment from Stephen Bartlett after being impressed by their presence. And because of Meghan wearing their brand, their sales jumped significantly. So the co-founder of the brand said that we launched PMI 5 years ago with very little investment and close to no marketing. 2 months after our launch, Meghan Markle was seen wearing our earrings at an official outing, and this completely changed our brand. It enabled us to grow sales by over 10,000% overnight and gain visibility worldwide. The impact wasn't just seen on our brand, but also on the industry as a whole. It was the first time royalty was seen wearing lab-grown diamonds, at the time still a very new concept. A few months ago, we had the honor of seeing Meghan wearing our earrings once again, our best sellers, the semi-hoop. So this was at the Invictus Games closing ceremony. And sure, if diamonds can be grown in a lab, well, why do you need to wear diamonds that are, obtained in cruel means? Mind you, diamonds aren't actually rare. If you actually look into this, the whole diamond industry is just a scam. There are companies that have a monopoly on the diamond mines, the likes of De Beers, and what they do is they just control the supply and demand. But they're actually not rare. And the workers who have to go and get the diamonds are treated horribly. And of course, there is the matter of the fact that a lot of these diamonds, especially those owned by royals, are stolen. They were stolen. So the whole idea of a royal wearing lab-grown diamonds, I mean, yeah. I feel like I don't even have to explain that, right? But well done to the company for catching Meghan's eye and increasing, that's increased the sales. This has happened to almost every single company that Meghan has been attached to. There was a jeans company, I think, that had to, expand their operations, their factory operations. So bravo there. Also, Claudia Boleyn. Claudia Boleyn was contacted by someone on the Piers Morgan show, and she said, absolutely not. I will not engage in your crusty show with this crusty man who has bullied Meghan Markle. And she earned herself a block from Piers Morgan. Congratulations, dear. You have now joined the Blocked by Piers Morgan club. I am also in this club. It's a very nice club to be in. It means you did something right. I wear that badge proudly. Speaking of Piers Morgan, whether it's going to be jail or bankruptcy, I actually don't mind. But we could be getting closer and closer to this man getting his karma. The Byline Times published this. Time for truth. Calls grow for police probe into Piers Morgan and Mirror editors. A prominent lawyer, hacking victim, and ex-police officer are joining Prince Harry in demanding police action into Mirror Group crimes and alleged lies to the Leveson inquiry. So, and make sure to please go and support Byline Times, donate to them, subscribe to them, and if you see their print edition in the stores, please go and buy it. Okay, so I just want to say, before I get into reading this, because that's probably going to be a long article, thank you to Stephen Black for the 10 coffees. That is so generous of you. Thank you so much. Thank you to Anonymous for the coffee. Look forward to your podcast every day. Thank you so much for joining me. And also another Anonymous for buying me coffee, and also Mrs. S. Thank you so much, all of you, for your generosity. It's really, really helping. April 19th isn't too far away, and hopefully I can put in that appeal and we can get over this terrible inconvenience. Okay, so on to the article. Scotland Yard is facing growing calls to reinvestigate Piers Morgan and a generation of former group newspaper editors for systematic newsroom criminality and years of cover-up, Byline Times can reveal, as claimants saw a bid to overturn a time bar on hundreds of potential civil suits against the publisher adjourned yesterday. Victims, lawyers, and a former detective joined Prince Harry's demand for the police and Crown Prosecution Service to do its duty. Now, I think this is brilliant, but you got to remember that the, police, that there's a revolving door of corruption here. And Cressida Dick, who was the former head of the Met, the former commissioner, she was given an award literally by Charles. after being one of the worst Met officers of all time. So just bear that in mind, when you see this. At least the court system has seemed, based on Harry's wins, upheld the law. But the police, mm, questionable ethics and whether or not they can be trusted. But I guess this will be a test to see how well they can be trusted. And we also have to remember that, there was a handful of detectives and, editors that got a slap on the wrist and very minimal sentences during the Leveson inquiry in the first place. So bear all of that in mind as we get into this. So it continues. It follows a significant High Court victory for the Duke of Sussex last month, in which Mr. Justice Fancourt found industrial-scale unlawful information gathering went on at MGN's 3 national newspapers between 1996 and 2011. Among extensive findings of wrongdoing, the judge said MGN executives not only knew about the illegal activity and could and should have stopped it, but instead of doing so, turned a blind eye to what was going on and positively concealed it. Now media lawyer Jonathan Code, actress Denise Welsh, and former Crime Watch presenter, journalist and police officer Jacques Hames are calling on Metropolitan Police Commissioner Sir Mark Rowley to reopen Operation Golding, the phone hacking investigation that saw Morgan interviewed in February 2014. Despite uncovering significant evidence and putting substantial public resources into Golding, former Director of Public Prosecutions Alison Saunders decided in 2015 that there was insufficient prospect of winning a conviction in any of the 10 potential cases against MGM employees. However, Jonathan Code believes the ruling in the case of Duke of Sussex and others versus MGM Limited offers a compelling case for investigating the Mirror Group over findings that lawyers and some broad directors hid endemic criminality, misled shareholders, the stock market, and public inquiry, and the High Court itself. Prince Harry's seismic win over Mirror Group newspapers has summoned the chickens home to roost, he told Byline Times. Despite the publisher's expenditure of millions in legal fees to cover it up, the judge found such a plethora of law breaking at Piers Morgan's Mirror that for any public confidence to survive in the criminal justice system as applies to the behemoths of Fleet Street, there must now be a full investigation by the Metropolitan Police. Now, before I go any further, just a reminder that the Leveson 2 inquiry was meant to be about corruption between the press and the police. That was cancelled by the Conservative Party. So does anybody think that, the Metropolitan Police want to dig too deep into this? Because what's going to come out about the Metropolitan Police? Anyway, the denials of knowledge of newsroom crimes offered under oath by a succession of former Mirror bosses to the 2011 to 12 Leveson inquiry into press misconduct ought to be probed according to Mr. Code. 2005 Inquiries Act makes it a specific offence to knowingly give wrong or distorted evidence to a public inquiry, and Prince Harry's lawyers were able to prove that MGM continued to hack phones for stories, the industrial practice that sparked the inquiry in the first place, even after Justice Leveson was conducting the televised questioning of witnesses. Justice Fancourt's findings exposed an entire generation of editors, lawyers, and some board members conspiring together in a form of organized crime which goes far beyond the mere tabloid espionage at the heart of Harry's case. Mr. Code added, now arise issues such as the impact of the Mirror shareholders, the lies the company told the public authorities, as well as lies individuals appear to have told the Leveson inquiries under oath. Mind you, it's not just going to be Piers Morgan dragged into this, Rebecca Brooks, and all them lot, under the whole Murdoch umbrella, they could get dragged into this, or dragged back into this rather, as well. Following the 865-page ruling on 15th of December, Scotland Yard said it was carefully considering its content before taking decisions on further action. Outside court, Prince Harry's lawyers read a statement in which he urged UK authorities to do the duty for the British public and investigate bringing charges against the company and those who have broken the law. Scotland Yard told Byline Times this week that its position has not changed and that the judgment remains under review. Jacques Hames is calling on the former employers to heed lessons of 2006 when it failed to properly investigate Rupert Murdoch's News of the World, following the hacking of royal household phones by private investigator Glenn McClare, the former royal editor Clive Goodman. And former royal editor Clive Goodman. It's clear that opportunities to properly investigate crimes at the News of the World in 2006 were lost, creating a perception that the newspaper group used its influence on the Met to cover up the sheer scale of offending. Remember what I just said. In 2015, the Met wrote off large amounts of public money by aborting Operation Golding after pressure from the press, calling it a witch hunt, portraying themselves as victims. Perhaps if it had continued, the successful legal action brought by Prince Harry and others in 2023 using the wealth evidence the Met had gathered would have been unnecessary. On reflection, it's very hard not to join the dots between the newspaper industry and political influence in the Met's decision. Exactly. The public interest must not once again be sacrificed by self-interest. We cannot let this pass unchallenged. Voicemails of Denise Welch were hacked and her hotel room illegally bugged by MGN in 2002 and 2003 at the order of Sunday Mirror Times editors Tina Weaver and Mark Thomas, both Morgan proteges, who have never faced criminal charges despite clear admissions of wrongdoing and the payment of damages to victims on their behalf by their former employers. Welch likened the lack of official action to the Post Office Horizon scandal or the enabling of Jimmy Savile. She said, so many lives were devastated by the top decision makers at Mirror Group, yet none has faced justice despite masses of evidence coming out in Prince Harry's case and hundreds of others. And this is why they have beat down so hard on Prince Harry, because they knew that this was coming. And they know what's about to come next. I'm going to get on to that. Harry pushing forward for more money and to continue this this battle in the courts. They know. The press know. Piers Morgan knows. Rupert Murdoch knows. And yes, some very nervous people in the royal household know that if Harry takes this all the way to the end, what on earth is going to come out? The government knows. The police knows. At this point, this is bigger than just Harry and phone hacking. It went far beyond phone hacking, which is all Piers Morgan denies. My hotel rooms were bugged by people working directly for Mirror editors. I was then entrapped into talking about things that were my private business, which was incredibly cruel. Like many, I lived for years without trusting a soul. The impact was huge for my family and I. I believed for a long time that an actor friend had sold a story on me. Friendships were wrecked. This was one of probably the most heartbreaking things about all of this. Because it's not just Denise Welch. It happened to pretty much, a lot of the people who were caught up in this phone hacking scandal. Harry said he lost friends. Sienna Miller said she lost friends. She couldn't understand how there's only 2 or 3 people who I've told about my pregnancy. So how does the press know about my pregnancy? Not knowing that they had hacked the hospital and paid off people to get hospital files. So who do you trust? Hey, my friends. I've only told you 2 and 3. So how else did this get out? Can you imagine how paranoid that would make you? Can you imagine how that would wreck your friendships with people? Absolutely devastating. And even after now it's all come out, can you patch up those friendships after so much hurt and turmoil? Absolutely devastating. If there's any justice in the world, these papers would have to pay out every single penny that they have, every single asset to all of the victims. And that still wouldn't be enough for wrecked friendships and wrecked families. At that time, article continues, at that time, my young son was seriously ill in Alder Hospital and needed life-saving surgery. The thought that people were listening into my life during this distressing time and continue to do so for years sickens me. But the people at the top of these papers who benefited the most have been allowed to escape when they should face justice. I do not know why they are able to get away with it. We've seen what happens when Jimmy Savile or the post office scandal when a blind eye is turned to wrongdoing. The police should certainly be investigating. The calls for action come as MGN's former top lawyers, Marcus Partington, faces a separate investigation by the Solicitors Regulation Authority over his involvement in cover-ups at the company. The SRA announcement comes 4 years after this newspaper sister site Byline Investigates first asked the regulator whether it was looking into this professional conduct. I mean, Byline's been on this. They also come as speculation mounts over Gary Jones, the editor of the Daily and Sunday Express newspapers, which with the same owners as MGM, Reach PLC. Sources at Reach have told Byline Times to expect a decision on his future with the firm in due course when asked. The company declined to comment. This is the Daily Express, by the way, which wrote, was it 40 articles in the span of, 48 hours? About Meghan, all of them, absolute tosh. Just churning it out for the clicks and the pennies. In December, Justice Fancourt found that Jones was among a string of Morgan-connected editors and senior staff heavily involved in the commission of illegally spying on MGM's 3 national newspapers, the Daily Mirror, the Sunday Mirror, and the Sunday People. They spent millions of pounds between 1995 and 2011. Jones was singled out in particular. He obtained private bank accounts for, among others, Prince and Princess Michael of Kent, former New Labour Downing Street Director of Communications Alistair Campbell, former New Labour Minister Peter Mandelson, and members of the Bank of England Credit Committee. The judge ruled that other key MGN figures, some of whom now hold senior roles at other organisations, were aware or likely aware of illegal activities, including Richard Wallace, now Piers Morgan's boss at Murdoch-owned Talk TV. Y'all. And Neil Wallace, former editor of The People, who in 2015 was acquitted of phone hacking charges related to his time as deputy editor of the News of the World. These people do what they want, get away with it, and then hire each other again. So never doubt that when you see attacks towards Harry and Meghan, that the orders are coming from the top. Others include Morgan's Mirror deputy editor, Tina Weaver, for whom he advocated in 2001 to become Sunday Mirror editor, Morgan's former features editor, Mark Thomas, and Sunday Mirror and the Sunday People senior editors, Nick Buckley and James Scott. The journalist who handed Morgan one of his biggest Mirror scoops, hacked straight from the voicemails of former England football manager Sven Goran Eriksson and television presenter Ulrika Jonsson. Oh, for those of you who didn't grow up in the UK, the way in which the tabloids went after Sven Goran Eriksson and Ulrika Jonsson in the papers, it was something else. It was like the UK's version of, I guess you could say, Brad and Jennifer Aniston. Like the level of interest in this couple. It was and the way they went after this couple, it was crazy. Anyway, Justice Fancourt said that while most of the directors of Trinity Mirror PLC, the former name of MGN, did not know about illegal activities, 2 did. Paul Vickers, the group legal director, certainly knew about phone hacking from about the end of 2003, while the ex-Mirror chief executive Sly Bailey knew of hacking. Board executives knew about the illegal activity that was going on in their newspapers and could and should have put a stop to it, the judge said. Instead, they turned a blind eye to what was ongoing and positively concealed it. MGN abandoned a long-held policy of paying off claimants before they could go to court in order to allow Prince Harry's trial to proceed last May and June. The company, having vacated several trial dates, was keen to test the law of limitation in hope of time barring potentially hundreds, if not more than 1,000 future claims from proceeding under a 6-year time-out rule. This is why they were going after Harry and his wife. Because if all of those claims go through, if all of those manage to go to court, that's the end of this tabloid conglomerate. That's the end. unless they have a very big financial backer that is stuffing their coffers, they won't survive this. Despite the damage it suffered in the trial, it emerged yesterday that MGM is facing a cost bill from the other side of 2 million. The company still considered a victory because it was able to include two of the weakest claims on the issue of limitation among the many in the wings around which to argue its point. And in the cases of Fiona Whiteman, former wife of comedian Paul Whiteman, and the actress Nikki Sanderson, it won, even though the judge found they had indeed been victims of illegal behavior. But yesterday, that victory was called into doubt as a bid was launched to appeal against the judge's view that the pair ought to have known sooner they had cases to bring, despite the concealment of a lot of criminality by MGN. Okay, it's come to the end of the article, by the way. It's a very long one, but very important. Some very interesting details in this, especially regarding Piers Morgan. Justice Fancourt was presented with 4 grounds under which his judgment is said to have misapplied the law. Among them, a ruling they should, as individuals, have acted as hypervigilant detectives in pursuing their claims. His decision on whether to grant an appeal will be heard at a date to be set. However, even if he denies it, the matter is likely to be taken out of his hands and referred to the Court of Appeal for review. Meanwhile, Rupert Murdoch's News Group newspapers also ought to face investigation into its illegal scrutiny of political opponents to a bid to buy Sky TV in 2010 to 11, according to former Liberal Democrat Minister Chris Huhne. In December, Huhne won his case for phone hacking against NGN. Last week, in an interview with former Guardian investigative journalist Nick Davies at London's Frontline Club, Huhne said he hoped Met Commissioner Sir Mark Rowley would look into prosecuting senior executives at the company. Huhne said in December that he believed the settlement vindicates my long-standing claim that News Corporation directors and managers targeted me to get rid of a political opponent. My case is unprecedented because the unlawful information gathering was directed not by journalists, but by News Corp executives, he added. They had 2 objectives: corporate espionage to help Murdoch's bid for Sky, and bulldozing pesky politicians out of the way. In a statement following the settlement, a spokesperson said it strongly denied that there was any corporate motive or direction to obtain information unlawfully, and that the stories published were legit and in public interest. And that's the end of that. Very interesting. Not only that Piers Morgan is now under the microscope, but those who he mentored and were connected to may come under the microscope as well. Right, that was a very, very long article, but I think one that very much needed to be read. So I'll go to your comments and then we will continue. Yes, Piers should get jailed and bankrupted, preferably both, but I'm cool with one or the other. Yes, karma is always on time. It's always on time. Harry and Meghan are free, so now's the perfect time. Yes, she was on Question Time. Our wonderful Claudia. I didn't see it, but I saw that she posted about it. So I think she also said that she was heckled. But good on her. She's been doing some great stuff. Not just with Harry and Meghan, but on the situation in Palestine as well. So yeah, we love her. Yeah, Trinette, this fool pissed off the wrong royal. Oh, if anybody has a link to her YouTube channel, by the way, you can post it in the chat. I'm okay with that. This fool pissed off the wrong royals. Let's pray for a swift and expeditious prosecution of this worthless DR. Yes. English, indeed, Trinette. Indeed. I 100% agree. Mrs. S, I don't trust the police as far as I can throw them. Indeed. Indeed. Leslie, I would fly to London to sit at Piers Morgan's trial. I think I would too. If anything's going to take me back to the UK, it's I'm getting to taste my mother's cooking again and seeing Piers Morgan go to trial. Only 2 things are going to take me back there for real. And Jamila, you said, yay, my very first live. I usually only get to watch the day after. Oh, fantastic. Well, you've joined on what I think is probably one of the most interesting lives I've done in a while. So, hello. Welcome. Yes, Valerie. You reap what you sow what you reap. Also, Daniel Morgan, Jesus coming back at the end, says the crime for justice. Everyone is being exposed. Yeah, I feel like if this goes as far as it may go, um, a lot of conspiracy theories are going to be exposed as truth and not conspiracy theories. Yes, Mina, what's done in the dark always comes to light. All right. Y'all had a lot to say, so I'm gonna scroll comments and then let's go on to the next thing. Before I do, let me just say thank you to TCC Sun. You're in the clouds. You listen to every podcast. Thank you so much. And also, yeah, thank you for your 5 coffees, and also to SC1 Nona for your 5 coffees. Very, very generous. Thank you, all of you. I appreciate it so, so much. That's what Diana said, the reptilians. Diana said that they were the men in grey suits. It's us that call them the lizards and snakes and the scorpions in grey suits. Diana kept it classy. Let's give her credit where it's due. It's us out here behaving like trash. But they are indeed reptilian. Okay. So following all of this, of course, now we have this. The Daily Mirror now facing 2 million in legal costs over Prince Harry's phone hacking. So this from the Times. The Duke of Sussex won over 140,000 in compensation from the publisher last month, more than enough to buy Archie's chicken coop some fresh hay. But there are over 100 articles left to address. The Duke of Sussex wants a second tabloid hacking trial as soon as possible, despite the publisher, the Daily Mirror, seeking legal costs totaling over 350,000 from other celebrity complaints. In December, the Duke won 140,000 in compensation after a judge ruled that 15 of the 13 sample articles he complained about were the result of unlawful information gathering by Mirror Group newspapers. He became the first senior royal in 130 years to give evidence in court. David Sherborne, the Duke's barrister, told the High Court there needed to be a further trial as soon as possible on 115 outstanding articles unless the publisher agreed to his compensation demands. MGN has sought significant legal costs from the Coronation Street actors Michael Lavelle and sorry, this article has a paywall on it. Hang on a sec, folks. Give me a sec. Okay, let me try. Sorry, folks. The article actually had a paywall, which is why I stopped reading. So let me just see if I can remove this so I can read the rest. What's going on here? Okay, let me see if I can get another article that doesn't have a paywall. Let's see, maybe Reuters. Okay, so although the Duke is certainly prepared to attempt to resolve the remainder of his claim through agreement, it is necessary to list the trial of the remainder of his claim as soon as is practical, his legal team said in a written submission. Harry's lawyer, David Sherborne, said the directions for trial should be made as soon as possible, while MGN's lawyers said in their written submission that offers, whose sum was not disclosed, had been made to the prince to settle. And we know that Harry is not going to do that. The bulk of Monday's hearing was taken up with arguments about legal costs for last year's 7-week trial, which heard evidence from Harry and 3 others who were chosen as test cases from about 100 claimants. While Harry's individual costs will not be dealt with until his lawsuit is concluded, lawyers representing Harry and other claimants asked for almost £2 million to cover the fees for the generic action taken against the publisher. Sherborne argued that the lies and cover-ups by MGN, owned by Reach plc, meant it was liable to cover these costs. However, MGN's lawyers argue the claimants had only been partly successful and said three others whose cases went to trial should pay all the costs, as two were ruled to have made their claims too late, and the third had received less in damages than it had offered in a pre-trial settlement. Fancourt said he would give his ruling at a later date. Okay. I mean, do you know what? If anything, and I do believe that Harry and the other claimants are going to get some wins, but if anything, this has brought to light again press corruption in the United Kingdom, and it's made very clear that the Leveson inquiry didn't do all that it was meant to do, and there's still a lot of work to be done. So please continue to support outlets like Byline Times. I think Double News is a really good one. And yeah, they can be nonsense sometimes, but on a good day, they're still good. Even outlets like The Guardian, they did actually a very good series on the royals. They did quite a lot of deep investigating, trying to understand more about royal finances. The series, they did like a whole series on the crown, and the crown estate. So go and support all of those who are trying to get to the bottom of the truth, because we're certainly not going to get truth from the British tabloids. Okay. Thank you to Diana Cardoso for the 3 copies. Very much appreciated. All right, I will get through a couple of comments if there are any, and then we'll go into the next thing. Yeah, today's going to be a long podcast. Anytime I skip podcasts and then things happen, it all just piles up, but all good and fun. Monica, he thought he would get away with it. If it weren't for this pesky Sussex squad, he probably would have. And Harry's bravery, of course. The Sussex squad and Harry's bravery. And the ancestors. And Diana's spirit. We're all coming for Piers Morgan and his lackeys in the tabloid press. Dominica, you are drinking Clever Blend right now. Fantastic. What flavor? Yeah, Karma has no deadline. No deadline at all. Do we have a troll? Oh, welcome to the troll. Yes, come sit and listen to the truth. Because you trolls need it. All right, on to the next thing. This whole issue with Africa Parks. This was the headline of the Mail on Sunday about the Harry's Africa Park charity rangers Ard and Beat tribes people. Now, there was a statement from the board and CEO of Africa Parks regarding allegations of human rights abuses by rangers in one of their national parks. So this is what they said. Africa Parks has a zero tolerance policy for any form of abuse and is committed to upholding the rights of local and indigenous people. Allegations of misconduct are thoroughly investigated and acted on. And all of our parks are managed with a central philosophy of awareness, sensitivity, and commitment to upholding the rights of local people. We are aware of the serious allegations regarding human rights abuses by eco guards against local people living adjacent to the Anzala Kokua National Park in the Republic of Congo, which have recently received media attention. We became aware of these allegations last year via a board member who received a letter from Survival International. Now, this is the charity. Survival International is the charity that is calling for Prince Harry to step down from the board of Africa Parks. And only Prince Harry, by the way. None of the other board members. So the statement then continues and says, we immediately launched an investigation through an external law firm based on the information we had available, while also urging Survival International to provide any and all facts they had, It's unfortunate that they have chosen not to cooperate despite requests, and we continue to ask for assistance. So they have chosen not to cooperate despite repeated requests, but they go to the Daily Mail, who claim to have done an investigation, then put it on the front cover of the Daily Mail, despite the fact that the investigation was launched a year ago. This is an active, ongoing investigation that is our highest priority as an organization, and we encourage anyone with knowledge of abuses to report them to us or to the Congolese law enforcement authorities, which will assist in the investigation and ensure that the perpetrators of any abuses are brought to justice. So basically, there's an investigation going on. So why did the Daily fail? And this organization, who has not cooperated with Africa Parks, decided to have a whole front page about this, and are only asking for Prince Harry, when there's a whole board on Africa Parks, to step down. I'll tell you why. Isn't it obvious? Interesting timing. Now, in the middle of all this, Stephen Corey is the ex-CEO of Survival. He was kicked off the boards he was just kicked off of the boards. Why was he kicked off the boards? Because he spoke out about this. He said, this is on Twitter. He posted this. What's absent in both Mail and Guardian story is abuses of local Africans has been a key element in conservation in Africa for 100 plus years. Every sizable protected areas, there begins with kicking them out. WWF is just as bad, and I believe that Charles is actually affiliated with WWF. And then somebody responded to that saying, he's not saying it's not true. He's saying that it would be attached to H's name for publicity. It's obvious it would be. Only one word on us responsible for H's position, and that us H, he could have effected change if resigned. He chose to ignore, minimize at very best. And then Stephen Corey responded to that saying, I'm confused. Story is true. African Parks guilty as hell. So is WWF and all big conservation NGOs in Africa. Focusing on Harry detracts from this big time, but the Mail only ran the story because it could focus on him. I advise Survival not to get in bed with the Mail. And then he then said, read the Daily Mail story. It was predictable that it would be used for Harry bashing. I advise Survival International not to collaborate with this paper last year. I've now been kicked off of all Survival boards. So after he told them, do not collaborate with the Mail, he has now been kicked off of the boards. The abuses are inherent in the failed conservation model plaguing Africa for 100 years. So there you go. Yeah, he's now been kicked off of the board. And here are some of the other board members of this Survival International that claims to be fighting colonialism in conservation, but look at everybody who's on the board. Not a single person of color on a organization that claims to be helping people in countries like Africa, on the African continent and other places. I think they also deal with tribes in the Amazon rainforest, and other kind of like small islands where there are indigenous tribes. But I can't see anyone on their board who looks like any of those people. Rather interesting. But just so we're clear, there has been an ongoing investigation. There has been. Yes, the trolls have nothing else to do because their princess is hiding. Yes. And we're going to get onto that as well, because this whole situation with Kate and William is getting very, very strange. Yeah, is Prince Andrew stepping down? That's a good question. Vera, wasn't the WWF created by Prince Philip? I actually don't know. Was it? Okay, now I feel like I have to Google that. Who founded the WWF? Who founded the WWF? Oh my gosh, it actually was. That is so interesting. He was one of the founders, along with HRH Prince Bernard of the Netherlands. Wow, that is fascinating. So how come they? Isn't it interesting that I never actually knew that. I guess it's become such a big organization that can't have um can't have Prince Philip overshadowing anyone. But yes, he was what. So he was actually one of the founders, along with Godfrey A. Rockefeller, um, Sir Gillian Sorrell Huxley, who was a British evolutionary biologist and eugenicist. Sounds about right. A rather interesting board of people to start a charity that claims to be about conservation, but it's like the guy was saying. A lot of these charities that claim to be about conservation, it's really just about control. Fascinating. Okay, I'll have a read into that. Thank you for mentioning that, Vera. Very interesting. Okay, right. Let's get on. Yeah, let's get on to the next thing. Over at Kensington Palace, this was released. The Princess of Wales has returned home to Windsor to continue her recovery from surgery. She is making good progress. The Prince and Princess wish to say a huge thank you to the entire team at the London Clinic, especially the dedicated nursing staff, for all the care that they have provided. The Wales family continues to be grateful for the well wishes that they have received from around the world. Now, what's so interesting about all of this is that we never saw Kate leave. There's this one photo of what appears to be an assistant, and I think that's a handbag and some stuff in the other car. But despite the fact that there is press outside and passers by, not one person pictured her leave. But Camilla, oh, the Queen of Cyprus, Camilla, over here, smiling like the cat that got the cream, visited Charles 3 times. I mean, just look at her face for a moment, if you can bear it. Look at this woman's face. This is the face of someone who is playing Game of Thrones at the highest level. Queen of Dragons right here. And there's absolutely no way that Camilla doesn't know that people are questioning if Kate was even in that hospital. There's no way that she doesn't know that people are questioning what is going on. So for her to go and visit Charles 3 times, adding fuel to the fire. And this is after all those weird headlines we get about, or people, sorry, the royals don't visit each other during hospital visits. And then she shows up 3 times. And we see her and Charles leaving. The press was there. What was even more interesting is in all the headlines about Camilla going to visit Charles, we never saw any about her visiting Kate. Camilla visits Charles, but Kate's meant to be in the same hospital. So did Camilla not visit Kate while she was in the hospital? Well, that's strange. And we've gotten any other time a royal has left the hospital. Here are the receipts. Queen Elizabeth released from hospital. Sophie leaves hospital. The Duke of Edinburgh leaves hospital. Princess Margaret leaves hospital. We've always gotten pictures. When Camilla and Charles left hospital, there they were waving. Charles looking mighty strong, despite having a large prostate pulled out or whatever they do with it. Not an expert on these things. But not a single picture of Kate. Very interesting. Which is funny because the tabloids just happened to get a picture of an unmasked Kate at a surprise visit to an illegal, shouldn't have been illegal, but those were the rules at the time, vigil, but none of them managed to get a picture of Kate's scheduled departure from the clinic. Remember when Prince William as a bully was doing his Aren't We Relatable stint and the tabs just happened to catch his unscheduled family picnic? But none of the tabloids caught Kate Middleton's scheduled departure from hospital. So please don't tell me we're crazy by speculating whether or not she was even there, or if she was she there at the time that they said that she was there? And if she was there, was she actually there for what they said she was there for? And then there was this strange article that popped up in the Sun, caring for Kate, and saying that William has been at her side every single day. Why was this article in the Sun when we've only seen William there once and he was there for 15 minutes? But they're now saying that he visited Kate every single day since the surgery on January 16th. We haven't seen him, but we've seen Camilla 3 times. So the lie detector test determined that was a lie. And then it gets even more strange. Now we've got royal reporters posting and deleting and rewriting tweets. So this is Dickie Arbiter, the Queen's former communications secretary and father to Victoria, I lost my eyelashes Arbiter. He posted this. Good news, the Princess of Wales has been discharged from hospital following abdominal surgery and is now at her home in Windsor, where she will recuperate. The Prince of Wales will likely take up engagements again once he is satisfied Catherine is comfortable. He then deleted that and posted this. The Princess of Wales has been discharged from the London clinic following abdominal surgery last week. She is now recuperating at home in Windsor, and once the Prince of Wales is satisfied with her care and recovery, he'll return to public duties. Why did he delete and post that? And then Omid also posted something, deleted it, but he didn't repost it. So I'm sorry I didn't manage to get it on the screen for you, but what Omid posted was, if I can just find it. So he posted Kensington Palace's statement and also Buckingham Palace's statement about Charles being discharged from the hospital. He posted, both King Charles and the Princess of Wales were discharged from hospital in London today. Kensington Palace say Kate will continue to recuperate at home in Windsor, returning to royal duties later in the year, depending on medical advice closer to the time. So I don't know why Omid deleted that, but he did. You've also got the bots. They're still out. You can see on one side of the screen an enlarged version of the hundreds of messages that keep on being reposted. Kate Middleton's surgery will have huge impact on royal family. William to pick up extra workload amid setback, expert says. The Princess of Wales' abdominal surgery is set to have a huge impact on royal family. And the farm is still out here doing the devil's work. And it seems like the health issues just keep coming from the royals. Now, Prince Edward will be taking a short break from public duties after his trips overseas in January to South Africa and St. Helena. Did anybody know that Edward was in South Africa and St. Helena? I didn't. All those royal watchers that absolutely swear that we need a monarchy probably didn't either. And so we now have a slimmed down monarchy. Do I have it? Oh, please don't say I didn't upload it. Okay, I'm going to have to read it out for you. But this is what the slimmed down monarchy basically looks like now. Let me get it on my phone. The slimmed down monarchy basically consists of this. So, currently ill or unavailable: Charles, 75, William, 41, Kate, 42, Edward, 59. So they are currently ill or unavailable. This is who is currently available. Camilla, 76, Sophie, 59, Anne, 73, the Duke of Gloucester, 79, the Duchess of Gloucester, 77, the Duke of Kent, 88, and then to a limited capacity, Princess Alexandra. Princess Alexandra, is she is that Princess Louise? Is that Edward's kid? This is a slimmed down monarchy that is going to bring the monarchy into the modern age. Dear oh dear. Dear oh dear oh dear. I'm gonna end with something that Anne Boleyn on Twitter wrote. Go follow her, Tudor Chick 1501. She said, "If I were a member of the British royal family, I'd never feel love or peace from the public again, because I'd always remember, in the back of my head, all of the polls and stats that showed just how loved Prince Harry was, until the British media nearly bullied his pregnant wife to death and then turned both of them into villains for being honest about it. I'd always remember just how easy it was for the British media, with their made up stories and lies, to cajole millions of total strangers into hating one of my own. And I'd know that at any moment, I or someone I truly loved could be their next victim at the drop of a hat. It would eat away at me, slowly, from the inside out. I'd know, deep within my heart and from deep within my gut, that whatever arrangement I had with the British public or press, it could be perceived as a lot of things, but that it could never truly be mistaken for love again." And with that, I'm going to end today's podcast. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming and joining. And let me just say that I don't wish badly on anyone. If there is something that has truly, truly horrible has happened to Kate, there are 3 innocent children here who are caught up in this rather nasty institution that they did not ask to be born into. I thank goodness that Harry took his family and his children away from this, because goodness knows they would now be being used as shields. But there is truly something very strange going on. And despite the fact that they, put Kate on a pedestal and weaponized her to bully Meghan, it doesn't necessarily mean that she would not be disposable to this institution. Because at the end of the day, the only thing that matters in this institution is what Kate and Sophie are looking at in this picture, the crown. That comes first. Anyone is disposable. The higher up the pecking order you are, the more you have to be protected, but it doesn't mean that you're not disposable. This is absolutely no life. I would never wish this on anyone. But this is what Karen Middleton wished for her daughter. All right, folks, I'll end with your comments and we'll wrap it up. Thank you, R.R. Carter, for the 2 coffees. Very much appreciated. Yeah, Jules. Where is Kate? Where is Kate? Where are the Middletons? Oh, I actually forgot to mention, sorry. Now that there is an article running around the internet streets by a Spanish outlet saying that Kate is in a coma. This is what they're alleging. I'm not really going to give too much attention to this, just because this is just one very rather obscure outlet, somebody who claims to have access to the royal household. So yeah, that's been running around the internet streets. What is true and what isn't, I guess only time will tell. But whatever is truly happening, the British tabloids aren't touching it. Clearly, there is some kind of embargo. Hey, Rahini here. Hey, how you doing, Rahini? Traditionally, it wasn't Edwina with the turtle. Yes, I saw him in the picture with the turtle. Listen, that turtle looked more youthful than he did. Yo, Lewis, because the first post said her home and the second omitted the word her. Interesting. Very interesting. Kit Kat, time to have George start working because his dad won't work. I mean, the kids, there's only so much you can do with the kids. But at the end of the day, they're kids. They should be at school. They shouldn't be working. But you know they're going to roll them kids out for sympathy. Oh, no life for anyone to live this way. You are rich in material possessions. You are poor emotionally and spiritually. Thank you so much, Chris Walker, for supporting. Yes, Leslie, if this story is turning into a Lifetime TV movie. Like, listen, like I said, I don't like Kate, but I wouldn't wish bad on anyone. And it's all just getting very weird and dark. And knowing how this institution is, I mean, your craziest conspiracy theory could well be true. All right, I'm just going to end by just reminding us once again that we do have lots of positive things to look forward to. And regardless of how weird or dark any of this gets, let's just remember that. Have a fantastic day, everyone. Thank you for continued support. It just warms my heart so much. And it's been so helpful to me. And I hope that you are blessed a million times over back and we can get over this hump with YouTube. All right, folks. Enjoy the rest of it. I'm not going to play the outro music because we've gone over an hour now, but enjoy the rest of your day, folks, and I'll see you tomorrow. Ciao.